Hello, can you come and do this and help me and do this? Yes. Hello, can you come to church and do this? Yes. Hello, can you do this? Yes. Hello, can you do this? Yes. Everything is a yes. The impression you are giving to people is that you are jobless. And perhaps you are. At the end of your life, you're not going to ask yourself how many people liked you. You're going to ask yourself what you are able to accomplish within the time frame that you have. Oftentimes, if you're really going to be somebody who makes strides in this life, you're going to have to become very comfortable with not being liked. Nice people cannot say no, and that's the reason they are always behind schedule on the things they are trying to achieve.
Even till now, we've not even reached on the money. Let's not full of God. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay, we are right back. We're ready to talk about how to detoxify your ego. Please, and you haven't subscribed to Salt Nation TV, please take a moment right now to subscribe. Hello guys, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Just Saying podcast. I remain your host, Sir Victory, and today we have a really interesting topic to discuss. Mr. Nice Guy, how to overcome the nice guy syndrome. You're probably thinking to yourself, is this a problem that people have? Is this something people are dealing with? But today I'm going to be sharing a lot from my own experience as someone who has struggled with this issue and as someone who is overcoming it and becoming a better version of myself and a more focused version of myself. So we'll be right back in a few minutes where we have to now dig in and share the juice contained in this topic. We'll be right back.
My name is Enyinaya Kachi, a graduate of pharmacy from 7 years ago and a poster child for Nigerian unemployment. This is a day in the life of a young Nigerian hustler. Hustle, how you survive through life every day.
Alright guys, welcome back to this beautiful episode of the Just Saying podcast, how to overcome the nice guy syndrome. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is the nice guy syndrome? Is this a real issue? Is this something that people are dealing with a lot? Now, as someone who has dealt with this most of my life, I can definitively tell you that this is a problem that is limiting a lot of people. And if my observations are correct, it is limiting a lot of Christian people, most specifically, from becoming the best version of themselves that they can become, because they are stuck in this nice guy mode, and it becomes very difficult to find rhythm in their life, to find, the motivation to push themselves to become everything that they can become. The nice guy syndrome can be defined in so many different ways, but I like to define it as that state that a person finds themselves in where they prioritize every other thing over themselves, their work with God, and their purpose. Where they prioritize every other thing over themselves, their work with God, and their purpose. And oftentimes these things that they prioritize are other people, other people's visions, other people's desires, other people's needs, other people's wants in many cases. And you find that this is an issue that many people are dealing with because they assume that there is a long-term benefit in being nice. Oftentimes people talk about karma, and talk about that if you do good, good will come back, which is true. However, anything that you do in your life that does not follow a clear laid down logical plan will often land you in more problems than results. You're going to see why. And I have a few points here. We're going to be sharing this in 3 episodes because there's just a lot to talk about. But I wrote down a few things here that nice guys struggle with. And these are the ways you can identify if you're struggling with the nice guy syndrome or not. The first one is that nice people are not long-term thinkers. They're not long-term thinkers because they tend to sacrifice their success and their potential, for other people, for pleasing other people, for making sure that other people like them. And when I talk about your success and your long-term progress, what I'm talking about is basically your time, your money, your resources. I was talking with someone earlier today and it just struck me. We were talking about, a young boy that we went for his child dedication not too long ago. And he was telling me that this young boy is about to enter secondary school. And I was like, How in the world? It feels like 2 years ago, and suddenly he's 9 years old, he's very big, he's tall, he's about, and it just struck me how fast time really moves. And you find how stupid it is to sacrifice your life and your time for things that are not adding building blocks to what you are trying to build. Because at the end of your life, you're not going to ask yourself how many people liked you. You're going to ask yourself what you are able to accomplish within the time frame that you had, right? So nice people are not often thinking long term. They're not thinking about what these decisions I'm making right now is doing to my future. Is it delaying my future? Is it delaying the things I can build, right? So you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your money for being liked. And being liked is the most useless achievement you can ever have. It does nothing for you. It does nothing for the person that is liking you, right? You are liked, and so what? What does that bring to you? Oftentimes, if you're really going to be somebody who makes strides in this life, you're going to have to become very comfortable with not being liked. Not being liked by everybody. Not being liked by everybody. But one of the first signs of the nice guy syndrome is that they are addicted to being liked. So they'll do anything just to make sure they are on everybody's good books. And that's the reason you are sacrificing a lot of your energy and a lot of your time, for things that are not adding value to you. And I'll share a little story that I had. I remember being in a meeting, some years ago, where our boss had given us an instruction about how we were supposed to carry out a particular duty. But all of us did not understand the instructions he had given. So we had our own internal meeting with the understanding that we had of his instructions. And so we went and executed. And so when he came back, he was livid. He was very angry. He said, "You people directly disobeyed an instruction I gave." And when he said that was actually when it dawned on most of us that we didn't understand the instruction, exactly what he was saying. But I remember sitting down in that meeting and just watching every other person try to exonerate themselves. "Oh no, sir, I actually asked this person, is this what you said we should do? In fact, I wasn't in the meeting when it was said. Oh, in fact, I even told them this is not what this person said." I said, and there was a lot of back and forth. Everybody was trying to, lick as much ass as they could. And I just sat down there and I was thinking to myself, what is going on right here? Because all of us sat down, had a meeting, decided that this is what we are going to do, and suddenly everyone is trying to exonerate themselves, right? And I remember just sitting there and being disgusted by everything that was happening around me. At a point I had to speak up. I was like, "Sir, all of us here are culpable. Every single one of us. We sat down, we had a meeting, we misunderstood your instructions, and this is the reason why we did what we did," right? So you would probably think that in that meeting, that the person that would be least admired or respected would be me. But it turned out that I was the one who was actually more respected and more listened to, because I was not trying to please anybody. I was trying to get to the root of the matter. And you find that one of the reasons the world is the way it is because there are too many nice people, too many psychophans, too many people that are just trying to make sure that they are liked in every space that they are in. That would not help you. So what do you do to overcome this addiction to being liked, right? I wrote a few things down here, and you can refer back to the podcast on the fight to be yourself. I said a lot of things connected to how you can be authentically yourself in spite of the pressures around you. But one of the things I said here is that you have to be content with loving yourself and receiving the love of God. One of the things that I have had to fall back to as I began to fight on my own to defeat the nice guy syndrome is understanding who God thinks I am, receiving the love of God for myself, and learning to love myself, learning to overcome that imposter syndrome that most of us are dealing with, and just be content with who God has made me to be and the fact that God loves me the way He has made me. And once you get that down, you're not able to ask, what is it that God wants me to do with this time and with this life that I have now? That is what I'm going to focus on, irrespective of if people like it or if people don't like it. If you do not have this mindset, it's going to be really difficult for you to progress, in life. And one other thing I wrote here is that you have to find a better reason for doing the things that you do. If the reason you do the things that you do is just to make someone else happy all the time, you're not considering yourself, you're not considering your purpose and the thing that you are pursuing, you are giving up so much time for every other thing, then that's not a wonderful reason to do the things that you're doing. The second point that I have written down here is that nice people are often not great achievers. They're often not great achievers. You might ask yourself, how come? How is this possible? The reason is because achievements and success require a certain level of laser focus. And to be focused on something, to be locked in on something so intensely, often entails that you have to say no so many times to so many people, including people that are very close to you. You have to say no to giving your time. You have to say no to giving your resources. You have to say no to giving your energy towards things that are not adding towards that thing that you are focused on. Many nice people are not great achievers because they do not have an overwhelming, burning vision and purpose in front of them. If you do, you will find that you cannot dissipate so much energy in other directions. So you have to learn the art of saying no. The art of saying no is an art that people have written books about. If it was not important, people wouldn't be investing so much time in trying to teach it. Nice people cannot say no, and that's the reason they are always behind schedule on the things they are trying to achieve, right? Oftentimes I speak with a lot of young people, and you find that they are giving an impression to everyone that they are jobless because they are always available. Hello, can you come and do this and help me and do this? Yes. Hello, can you come to church and do this? Yes. Hello, can you do this? Yes. Hello, can you do this? Yes. Everything is a yes. The impression you are giving to people is that you are jobless, and perhaps you are. And perhaps you should find something to invest yourself in. You can't achieve much if there is not something that is the overwhelming focus of your soul, of your mind, of your spirit, that you are intensely focused on and giving everything to achieve part time. Right? There has to be that thing. And in the absence of that thing, you find that you are available to every other thing. What do you do to overcome this addiction to saying yes? Nice people can very easily find themselves serving other people and thinking that they are serving God. Because you see, many times we assume that in doing charity, as beautiful and as powerful and as important as charity is, if our entire life revolves around charity, such that even our time, our energy, and all our resources are for charitable purposes, unless you are specifically called to that, then that is your focus. Then that is your vision. Then that is what you are locked in on. That's wonderful. But if you are not, and there's something else you are actively pursuing, everything you do has to be planned, including your charity, including your giving, including how much time you can afford to invest in other things that is not your purpose, that is not your focus, that is not your family, that is not what you're trying to build. So if you say yes to everything, it would steal the energy that you need for the things that you should be saying yes to. So find and focus on your vision. That's the solution. If you are truly focused on something that is the overwhelming passion of your soul, you'll find that you cannot afford to say yes to everything. The third point I want to share in today's pod is that nice people are not good leaders. They're also not often good parents as well. What do I mean by this? Nice people are often found over-pampering the people under them. They are over-pampering them. Again, this goes back to the issue that they always want to be liked, right? So they are always coddling the people under them. They are always trying to be, that boss, that parent. You see, many nice parents are so addicted and so passionate and so intensely focused on being their children's friends, which is good. But oftentimes they are so intensely focused on being their children's friends that they forget to be their parents. The result of this is all over society, right? You find parents are raising menaces to society. Children are growing up and the children are running all over their parents because their parents are unable to draw the line. They are unable to build a system within the family that tells the children this, you can go this far and no further. They are unable to assert their authority as parents over their children. And so their children grow up thinking that they can do whatever they want. Then they go into society and they do whatever they want, right? So they're not often very good leaders because they're not firm. They're not firm. They want to be liked. One of the greatest desires in the heart of a nice person is to be liked, to be approved by the people around them, right? And oftentimes the person that is most liked is least respected. The person that is most liked is least respected. People like you, people can tell, but when it comes to the big things, when it comes to someone they can rely on for the big things, they don't come to you. They don't come to you because the energy that niceness gives off is also one of weakness. That's why there are a lot of people who are in friend groups or friend circles where they are the ones that everybody dumps the rubbish on. Everybody knows they can call you by 12 midnight and you're the one that will turn up. You're a great friend, wonderful. But if you are accessible at every time, when the real big deals are going down, they don't turn to you. That's a problem. Because niceness gives off an energy that is weak. People don't find as rigid, as firm, as able to carry, the most important things and the most important burdens. So again, they are not good leaders and they are often not good parents. Now, I'm not calling on you to become ruthless and inconsiderate and just because there's also the other extreme. There are leaders who just know how to use people for their own ends. Ruthlessly use people. Those ones are tyrants. That's not what I'm talking about. But a good leader is someone who cares about his people so much that he doesn't care whether they like him or not, as long as they become the best version of themselves. That's the same psychology in parenthood. You're not interested in your children liking you at every time. You're interested in them becoming what they should become, what they can become. Such people are great leaders, but such people are not nice people. They're not nice. I'm not even necessarily talking about becoming vicious, becoming violent. Some parents just turn their children to, a skin drum. And every 2 seconds, you are beating on them at all times. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a boss who is just always shouting on everybody and always overbearing and insulting everybody under them. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about you being able, for everybody around you should be able to know what are your non-negotiables. What are those grounds that they know you are not going to shift on? What are those things? If everybody around you feels that they can always manipulate you into doing anything, then you're not a good leader. You're not a good leader. So what do you do about that? Learn to become fine around people that don't like you. Be comfortable in their presence. Be very comfortable in the presence of people that don't like you. Learn how to do that, right? As long as you're certain that you've done right by them, be comfortable in their presence, whether they like you or whether they don't like you. Again, you find that this ties down back again to that desire to be liked. And the fourth point that we're going to be discussing today is that nice people are often visionless, or if they have a vision, they are willing to sacrifice their vision to help other people and other people's visions and other people's purpose. Now, there's a place for training, right? Oftentimes, you would have to submit your vision under another vision because you're learning, because you're growing, right? You have to pause your pursuit so that you go and learn from someone who is already doing that or who can help you advance that. There's a place for that. But one of the things I find with nice people, and I'm speaking most of these things from experience, is that nice people are so afraid of, they are hiding under the cloak of someone else's leadership, that they are afraid to pursue theirs. They cloak that cowardice in niceness, in being helpful. And I'll speak for myself. One of the times, some years ago, one of the reasons why I stayed too long under training was because I was afraid. Oftentimes I would sit down and say, so if I pursue this purpose God has called me to do, I become responsible for people's lives. Like I become the one that tells people what to do. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if I mess up people's destinies? This was the fear that was actually behind my niceness. So oftentimes, you have to be bold enough to know when your training is done, when to move forward, when to press on to go and achieve the things that God has laid in your heart, when to go and pursue the vision for your life. Nice people stay in the same place for years. There are people who have been working the same job for 50 years and they are winning the best employee year in, year out. But that's not their vision. That's not what they wanted to pursue. I was watching a video on the internet the other day about a woman. She was 68 years old she was 68 years old. And they asked her where she was working. She said she was working in a credit union, right? They asked her how long she had been working there. They said she had been working there for 50 years. That was the first job she got out of high school and she was there till she was 68. Then they asked her, was that the job you always wanted to do? And she said no, she always wanted to be an air hostess. She always wanted to work in airlines. But that she was needed in the company. You are needed, but is that what you needed? That's the big question we have to ask ourselves. nice people are so self-sacrificial, which is good to an extent in certain scenarios. But if you become so self-sacrificial to the point of neglecting your own vision in life, your own purpose, your own desires, there are men who are married who are neglecting their family because they are trying to please their boss, they are trying to please their friends, they're trying to be there for every other person, that the very thing that is your own domain, that is your own, niche, you are lacking. You are lacking. Are you nice? Yes. But being nice is absolutely worthless if you are unable to achieve the things that are set before you, the things that are your responsibility. It's your responsibility to chase after your vision. It's your responsibility to pursue after a purpose. It's your responsibility to take care of your family. It's your responsibility. No other person will do that for you. But you often find that being nice to many people, and they expect that their family will understand. You expect that, God will understand. If I leave, who will do this? Who will do this? Who will do this? You find that nice people forget what they need. They are always thinking about, what do these people need? What does this other person need? What does this other person need? How will my absence from this space affect this person, affect this person, affect this person? 50 years down the line, you're still there. And then you're overwhelmed with guilt, overwhelmed with regret for not being able to pursue. After a while, we had to tell ourselves, man, this has to end. Which ties back to what I've been saying. You have to know when that season in your life has ended. If you're not sensitive to the seasons in your life, you'll find yourself marking time for much longer than you should. So what do you do? Understand the seasons in your life. That's what I just said. I'm not talking about being disrespectful. I'm not talking about I'm not telling you to go on Monday into your boss's office and saying, to hell with you, to hell with this job, to hell with everything, and walk out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying become disrespectful, become uncouth and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying remove yourself from places that no longer serve you. Learn when the time has come to remove yourself from places that no longer serve you. One of the things niceness does is that it makes you afraid of making that step, because you are so concerned about what you are given to others. And that can become a very dangerous place to be. There's so much more that I'm going to be sharing about nice people. And like I said, I'm saying all of these things from experience. These are things I've lived. Most of them are things that I've lived. But we're going to leave the remaining portions for the next few episodes, where we're still going to be discussing about niceness. And we're going to be discussing how it impacts you, how it impacts your life, and how you can free yourself from those shackles. I know I've said so many things in this episode that has gotten your mind thinking, perhaps you agree with me, perhaps you do not agree with me, but what do I know? I'm just saying. So the next time we see on the Just Saying podcast, I remain your host, Sir Victory, and I'll see you again very soon. God bless you.
Even till now, we've not even reached on the money. We've not shut up. Let's not full of God. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Why did I bring this up?
Okay, we are right back. We're ready to talk about how to detoxify your ego. And you haven't subscribed to Salt Nation TV, please take a moment right now to subscribe.